Way.
Coach, what do you know about their quarterback situation, and does it change how the game plan for this week at all?
No, because the backup, he can throw it, man. I think it's Braden Locke. I think that's his name, if I'm not mistaken. But I know Coach Longo recruited him out of high school. I know he had a chance to go to UNC and end up going to Mississippi State. And I know that when he got in the game, the offense did not change, right? The kid has a cannon. He can let it fly. Obviously, that sucks for Tanner Mordecai, man. I mean, he was having a really good year. I was really looking forward to going against him. He's a really good competitor. You can tell their offense was clicking on all cylinders because of him, just because of the way he's able to kind of make things go, and he was throwing it around, he was handing the ball off, he was running the ball. I mean, he did some everything. And so I know it's going to be a tough challenge for them, right? They got a newer guy coming in, but that's Coach Longo's system, and it's not predicated around one player, but I do know that the operation of what the quarterback does is massive. But this young man, he can let it fly. He can throw it. He runs really well. I mean, I don't foresee it being much of a drop off in terms of what they're going to ask him to do. Obviously, he hadn't taken as many snaps, but I'm going to prepare for him like Tanner Mordecai was a quarterback.
Aaron, what did you learn about Tyler Strain, who maybe lost that starting job and then gets thrown in, bigger receiver, and makes some really critical plays there?
Tyler, as I've always said, Tyler's extremely resilient. During the week of practice, with all our young defensive backs, we try to put them in a pressure cooker, man. We try to make it so that it's really tough and really challenging for them in practice. And when games come, they're a little bit easier. I will say this: our offensive look team may be one of the best look teams in the country. I mean, the look that Colin Dixon is given, right? The look that Capka Jones is given, Ian Pugh, Weston Adams. I mean, they do a phenomenal job in trying to replicate a lot of these wideouts, and so that was partially a testament to what Tyler was seeing all week in practice. And then obviously his opportunity came, and that just speaks to him. That speaks to kind of the culture that we're constantly developing, right? You don't know when your number's going to be called, right? You may not go in as a starter, but when your number's called, you got to be ready. And I think, right, it happened to Tyler last year, it happened to him this year, right? I know everybody wants to walk out there and take the first snap, right? So they can say that they're a starter, but he played more snaps than any other guys who was in rotation with him. So in my mind, he is a starter. Right? Although he didn't take the very first snap, I'm just extremely proud of him, the way he responded, the way he handled things, how he tried to coach the younger guys up. That's always really good to see, and that's typically a sign that you got a very special program.
I know you switched up the defensive front a little bit, probably due to personnel, but what did you think of what Bryson said and just your defensive front with Seth and Gabe and all this?
Yeah, I thought they did a tremendous job. We were trying to just cause confusion for the quarterback, right? Oftentimes when you just sit in something, eventually people try to get tails on it. They know how to attack it. And so, again, like I always say, it's like a game of cat and mouse, just trying to change it up. I thought those guys did a tremendous job up front, and getting after the quarterback, right? One of our main defensive goals was disguise and disrupt number 3, right? And so we just wanted to do that, whether it was on the back end, whether it's on the front end. And I thought just collectively, right, between the from the front guys to the linebackers to the secondary, we just tried to mix it up for him, and that was able. He held the ball a little longer than we thought sometimes. We knew going third down, I think he was averaging I think it was 3.5. He was holding the ball for a little longer on third down than he was on first and second down. Balls were out really, really fast, right, which probably was the reason why we started getting a lot more screens, right, because they didn't have as much success as they had previously throwing the ball down the field and connecting down the field. And so it was just trying to rattle him every way possible. The young man is obviously a talented player, but I'm just excited we came out with the victory.
Obviously the offense is going to attack something, but defending screens, what is the key when teams turn to that if they can't get over top?
Well, part of it is making sure guys get out of the stack up front. And then the other part is right, you gotta have an outside piece and setting the edge, right? You gotta have an inside piece and guys run into it, and then you gotta have a middle piece. A lot of those screens, right? If you watch those screens, they end up running 16 screens. All right, I've never been a part of a game where a team ran 16 screens. Now this team was primarily a deep shot, throw the ball down the field, and they had some screens in the game, but they ran 16. right? Some of them came from the tailback, some of them were wide receiver screens, but in majority of those screens, someone made contact with them either at the line of scrimmage or 2 to 3 yards around the line of scrimmage. So what that tells me is that we missed tackles, right? And so I don't really foresee it being I think it was a missed tackle issue. Like that's like at the end of football boils down to either you're going to make a tackle or miss a tackle. And if you miss it, make sure you miss it with leverage, right? I know Nicario Harper had one that went for 24 yards versus Jayshon Jones, and he misses it inside. If he misses it outside, right, you got the middle piece coming or the inside piece coming, and maybe it's a 5-yard gain instead of a 24-yard gain. And so just constantly, we hit it yesterday in our meetings, just constantly harping on our guys about, okay, listen, right? Obviously, right, teams are running plays, right, trying to attack certain things. Here's the weakness in our defense if they attack it this way. But, right, if we got a guy coming to make a tackle and we know we got guys running inside and we got a guy setting the edge on it, right, if you're going to miss, you have to miss outside to force the ball to cut back. If he forces the ball to cut back, he runs into Johnny Newton. Johnny Newton versus a wide receiver, I take Johnny Newton every day of the week, right? And so it's just learning from those situations. We've never been screened like that. And we played everything, right? We played zone, played a little bit of man, played a little bit of cover zero. I mean, it was everything. So it wasn't just we were in single high playing man defense. It was a little bit of everything. And obviously we just got to change up some of our looks in terms of our disguise, whether we are no matter what look we're in, just changing the look for them post snap, so they don't get a beat on it. But the running back, I think the running back had like 8 screens, right? They ran a counter screen. I've never seen a counter screen. I know that was a play that people were running that was very popular last year, but it's just a long developing play, right? We got to make sure we set an edge on it, and then guys continue to run to the ball. But they got good coaches as well, right? They did a good job in trying to attack us, and from that standpoint, by the time we got to halftime, my biggest point of emphasis was one, somebody has to get on a different level and get up, and 2, we just got to make the tackles. Like we have to make these tackles. They can't be for 10, 15, 20 yards, right? 5, 6, 7 yards, I'm cool with, but we can't let a screen hit his head on the goalpost. And so I thought they responded well.
When Seth has a game like he did Saturday, is it simply a matter of him just winning his one-on-one, or is there a lot more going on?
Well, it was a combination of that, right? So Seth was in a one-on-one. One of them he ended up winning. He ends up sacking the quarterback, and he kind of grabbed his foot, and quarterback stumbled and fell. Another one, he was actually in coverage. He was in coverage. And he's the secondary contained player. Quarterback got out, right? Started scrambling, and Seth went to pull him up and made a sack, right? So it's a like you were truly able to see Seth's like versatility, right? To be honest, he should have had like 4 or 5, right? And I had a conversation with him yesterday. I don't think better than 3 sacks or 4, right? He had an opportunity. I mean, excited for him, happy for him, but he knows what he left on the table, and I mean, anytime you can teach from a setting like that, right, and show them, okay, you had 3 of them, right? Well, why did those 3 sacks come about? One, it was on one particular play. Johnny Newton had like amazing middle push, right? The guys on the backside they literally push it to Seth, right? He falls into it, right? Makes a great play. But it's a culmination of everybody. When guys get sacks, right? Ultimately, the guy who ends up getting the sacks get all the praise, but right, like what did the guys opposite of him do? What did the secondary do, right? The one he got it in when the quarterback got out the pocket, that was a coverage sack in my opinion, right? And I know the secondary or the inside linebackers won't get rewarded for it, but the way Seth ran to the ball and the coverage that we had allowed for that, because quarterback typically didn't hold the ball that long. He either threw it out of bounds or he got rid of it relatively fast. And so I was really excited the way Seth played, right? He had some things he has to clean up just like all these young men. But, right, like that's our expectation of him, and so like it's a great opportunity, right, for us to learn and grow and be even better, all right, this week when we play Wisconsin.
Coach, with the stuff we saw in the last game, the pre-snap movement, the disguising coverage, the shifts up front, was that more a product of the opponent, or is that you're 6 games in and you just got more in the arsenal? Yeah,
that's we had some of those in fall camp, and I was kind of holding on to them. I think it's just it's more of an evolution of defense, right? Like, I mean, it's no secret, right? Like you have to be able to, like, you can't live in one thing. You have to be multiple. You have to be able to change. You have to be able to tweak things. And I mean, you're seeing that from the offensive standpoint around college football, right? If an offense comes out in the same formation, right, same personnel grouping, and run 3 or 4 plays, like as a defense, we're laughing, right? And so it's when they present a different picture or a different look, right? That can oftentimes cause chaos to a defense, right? And so all we're trying to do, right, is just present problems for the guys that we're lining up against. So when you see us in a 3-down front, right, you may know how to attack it, or you may think you know how to attack it. Well, we started off this particular game in a 4-down, right? And you know, that made them, they start doing a little more check with me's and peeks to the sideline just to try to find out what we're in. And so it's like I said, it's always a game of cat and mouse. We're always trying to be on the front end of things and not be reactive, you know, as defensive coaches. And so I just think, like, when you're preparing for an opponent, you're trying to give them as many fronts as possible, right? We may have some special in store for you this Saturday, right, with a particular front. But like every week, right, you watch film and you try to see what other teams are doing, obviously, how they're playing it. Obviously, we got our meat and potatoes of things, but just being able to change the picture, help us out defensively, which I think it did, and cause some confusion for the quarterback at the end of the day, I think that's like the ultimate goal.
And in the last 2 games, it's been like 6.5 and 7 has been their average 3rd down distance. When you're having that success on 1st and 2nd, what does it allow you as a play caller to do on 3rd?
Yeah, it literally changes the landscape of how I call plays when we have early down success, right? I knew that if I could get them in 3rd and longer situations, 7+, right, that would allow me to really dig deep into my bag, right, of some stuff that we had. It's some stuff that we had that we didn't run, right, that I didn't end up getting to, but early on, right, how could I change the picture for them? How could I put a little pressure on them, right, whether it's simulated or all out, right, just cause a little bit of confusion for them. But like, the better you are on early downs, I think it just, I mean, you see it all the time. It just sets you up to have that much more success on 3rd. Instead of being in 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s, right, now you're in 3rd and 6s, 3rd and 7s, which are a lot more manageable from a defensive standpoint. And then just as the game progresses, right, you try to find out, okay, are they a quattro team? Are they going to go for it on this 3rd down really like a 2nd down for them, and 4th down really like a 3rd, so they can go for it? And so that's just kind of as the game goes on and you get a feel for the game. But I thought for the most part, right, like, I thought the guys responded well to it. Like, sometimes I didn't get to some of my 3rd down calls, and I used early down calls on some of those segments, but they handled it well. We practiced a lot of those situations, and so it wasn't nothing really new to them.
I hope your linebackers grown over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, man. I mean, a lot of those younger guys, they didn't, you know, they didn't play as much, right? At least coming into the season, and so like to see them grow up and have the success that they're having, right? It's awesome. It's a testament to their coach, right? Andy Booth's done a phenomenal job in coaching those young men. They're hungry, they're passionate, right? They're violent. I mean, they walk around with their hair on fire. I wish you guys could see those dudes. They're true linebackers, man. They are true linebackers, but they're also resilient young men. They know what kind of defense we run. They understand the schematics of the defense, and at the end of the day, they're just really good football players. And so, I think what it boils down to, man, like, you can have the perfect play call, right, and you put a guy in and he doesn't make the play, and then you can have a play call that you don't like, and they got us outnumbered, and a guy makes a play, right? And it was some calls that I'm looking as I'm looking at what's going on. Like, Dylan Rosiak just made some plays, dude. Like, oh my goodness, like, he made some plays. I think it was play 74. No, my fault. It's play 73, if I'm not mistaken. It was like a quarterback counter, and they pulled it, and he gets over top. I mean, it's beautiful, man. It's like poetry in motion. But the last drive, he makes a play on the quarterback, dude. We talked about it all week, and he put himself in a position, and they had enough guys to block us up, and he gets over top on it, makes the play, and we get off the field. And so it's a testament to what we're helping them do from a schematic standpoint. Then it's a testament to the young man they all want to be great, right? And they got a position coach who I think is one of the best guys in the country, man, in terms of knowing how to teach linebacker play. So I'm really excited about it moving forward.